want to welcome everyone to our Monday mentoring call. My name is Jeff Altgilbers, and I'm a Platinum International Diamond with For Life Research. I've been with the company for 16 years now, and what a wonderful journey this has been to be with such a great company. And I'm so glad so many of you were able to get on our call tonight. And gives me an opportunity to share some of the things that I've experienced in this company, and hopefully it's going to make your journey to success much easier. One thing I've learned is that if we talk to people and listen to people that have experienced success and do what they do, we could be successful as well. I learned that a long time ago. It made sense to me. I applied it, and it helped me out a lot. So I'm so glad that many of you could join the call. We call this our Monday mentoring call because, well, we try to do it on Monday to sort of give the week, get it off on the right footing, and then have some fresh ideas, if not an uplifting attitude, so that we can just fly through the week and accomplish a lot of our goals that we want to accomplish in personal growth, in team building, and in just realizing our goals. We're moving ever closer to those goals. That is so important that we do that, because whatever we believe, we're moving toward. And we want to move toward the right things, don't we? The one thing that I like to stress when we talk about International Mentors Team is just that very word, mentoring. In network marketing, that's something that's been lacking for many years. People get recruited, but they're never mentored. I had a man call me from Singapore recently, and he's been involved in network marketing for many years, but that was the one thing that he said that was so important, is belonging to a team where people can get mentored and get helped. We just came back from Singapore and Malaysia, where we had our first Asian event, our first Asian convention, and that was really nice to see so many leaders from so many different places, just being brought together in an event. Prior to that, in Singapore, I wasn't even planning on doing a meeting in Singapore. I thought I would just get to Singapore 2 days before the Malaysian event and then enjoy Singapore a little bit, and the leaders found out I was in town, so, well, you can imagine what happened. So they asked me to come out and do a meeting, and as jet-lagged as I was, I said, oh, it's fine, I'll come. And the one thing that I really enjoyed that night, and we had many leaders in that event, was a man that was blind, and he was recognized that night. He had qualified 5 months in a row consecutively as a diamond, and yet he was blind. I was very inspired by that. And I got some pictures of me standing next to him. I'll try to remember to put that up on Facebook. But that really inspired me, that if someone blind can consecutively qualify as a diamond, wow. I don't know. It doesn't allow a lot of room for excuses, does it? Well, tonight, what I wanted to talk about is some of the ingredients that are absolutely imperative, necessary for you to build a successful business in For Life Research. And just being at our event last week in Malaysia and seeing Sherry Den, a single woman, to achieve Platinum International Diamond was a very important moment for me. Certainly was for her. But I can remember when I first prospected Sherry Den, because she was just a name and a number that Linda Emerson shared with me. Linda is a international diamond. She lives in Canada. And she shared that with me. And because she couldn't get Sherry to join, and so I went out and did the presentation and all that, and then Sherry joined. But I watched how Sherry grew through the years, and Sherry, what happened with her was she became the leader she is today. She didn't start that way. She became such. It reminds me of the story of a man that went to Italy one time. He went in this old town, and he asked an old man who was sitting in front of a store He said, "Were there any leaders born here?" And he looked at him and said, "No, just babies. Just babies." Leaders are developed, my friend. And I watched how Sherry developed. Some of the ingredients of that would be what I'm going to share now. And the first is that we have to keep our dream in front of us. We have to keep it alive. It has to be real to us. I'll give you an example. I remember the story about a young man who dreamed of being an actor. I guess it was back in the 1980s when he wasn't, getting the kind of parts he wanted in Hollywood. He's broke. He was discouraged. In fact, he lived out of an old car. And he used to drive, when he got so discouraged, he used to drive to the top of the mountain, look down on Hollywood. But one night he did something very unusual. He wrote himself a check for $10 million, and he put in it for acting services rendered. Paramount Studios was who paid for it. But whenever he got discouraged, he used to take that check out of his wallet and just look at it when things got tough, when things pulled him down. And it just reminded him of his dream. Do you know that just 12 years later, he became one of the most accomplished comedians of his time, and his name is Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey. You know what he makes now? $15 to $25 million for each movie he does. $15 to $25 million. The thing about it is, you have to keep your dream in front of you, just like he kept his in front of himself. In my case, I can remember when I was broke and just trying to get my business off the ground, I used to walk in neighborhoods where the rich people lived. I do that on Sundays. And I would just walk around and look at these big, beautiful mansions and these manicured lawns, beautiful rose gardens, perennial gardens. And I used to think to myself, yes, this is the way it'll be. This is the way my house will look. And I'll have a manicured lawn just like that, BMW, Mercedes in the driveway, rose gardens, perennial gardens. I'll even have a gardener. And I used to reinforce that. I used to keep that in front of me, just like Jim Carrey kept that check in front of him. But in 18 months, I was moving into one of those homes. In 18 months. Because I kept my dream real in front of me. You have to do that. You have to keep that dream alive in front of you, day after day. And you can do that in your house, too. You can put, pictures up on the wall, maybe a house that you would love to have, a car, maybe a vacation somewhere, something that reinforces lifestyle and how it's going to be for you and how it's going to turn out for you. Keep it alive. Keep it in front of you. That's the thing that we all have to do. And then, again, whatever you believe, you're going to move toward. That's the key. And you keep it alive day after day. And, you're going to have resistance for sure. I mean, I remember also, you've heard of Hilton Hotels. What about Conrad Hilton? I love the story about him that I read, that as a young man back in the 1930s, he once saw an article on the Waldorf Astoria Hotel in New York City. I had a chance to stay there one time when I was in New York City. It is beautiful. He thought it was the most beautiful thing he ever saw. But back in the 30s, he could barely pay his rent, and just having survived the Depression or come out of it. But he used to keep that dream in front of him. And as he worked hard to create Hilton Hotels, he kept a picture of that Waldorf Astoria Hotel on his desk, actually under the glass that was on his desk. But every day he would see it, year after year after year after year, after 10 years, so on and so forth. But what was interesting is that 18 years later, after he focused on that, he was able to purchase 250,000 shares of the Waldorf Corporation, and he owned that hotel. He owned it. Whatever we keep in front of us, that's what we're moving toward. I thought it was an interesting story, and they just sold it again. But at least he got to own it for a while. I think one of the problems that some people have in this business, and this is something we all have to really work on, and also when we sponsor people, we bring people in, let them know if their dream is big enough, if it's big enough, then it's going to take a lot of effort to achieve that dream. If it's not big enough, it's not. But if we're really looking for, and in my case, I was looking for massive changes. I wanted to live in the house of my dreams. I wanted to be financially independent. I had all those goals in front of me. The problem with a lot of people that come in this business is that when they come in, they expect it to be easy. But think about this, and I've talked about this before, but it's worth bringing up, and I'll probably bring it up again many times in future calls. But I always tell new ones when they come in, I'll say, listen, you know that job you have? Yeah, okay. Is that an easy job? No, that's not easy. Is it easy working, having the boss that you have or the people you work around? No, that's not easy. Is it easy with the money you make? Oh, no, that's not easy. Got too much month at the end of the money. And then is it easy looking at your children when they ask you for things and you don't have the money for those things? Or even education. Is that easy? And yet they'll say, no, that's not easy. And I'll say, when you come over to here then and you want to do this business, don't expect it to be easy. See, that's the problem, my friends. Many people that come in this business, they think this should be the exception. Network marketing should be the exception. It should be easy. Why should it be easy? It's not easy. Matter of fact, the critics, when they talk about this business, and they say, oh, you know what, very few people ever make it in that. Very few people. Most people fail in that. Yeah, you're right. That's true. If we're talking about the big money here now, if you're talking about being a millionaire, most do. That's right. But let me ask you this. Isn't that true in real estate? How many people have a real estate license in the United States? We're talking millions of people in the United States have a real estate license. How many of them ever become millionaires? Very few. Very few. Isn't that true in the stock market? How many people get in the stock market, become wealthy? Very few. What about people in pro ball? How many ever get to play in an NFL team? Very few. Why does this have to be the exception? Why does network marketing have to be the exception then? Why is it everybody that comes over here has to be wealthy? See, it's all based on performance, isn't it, my friend? It's really true. But it's not just the performance, it's the people who persevere with the dream. That's right. Not everybody becomes a Donald Trump in real estate. Not everybody becomes a Tom Brady in football. We could say that about a lot of different fields, careers that people have. So when they say to me, very few people make it, I laugh. I said, that's right. And that's the way it should be. That's the way it should be, because not everybody is going to perform. Here's the thing that we have to do, my friend. When we bring people in, we have to get them to understand that if they want to reach their dreams, have a lifestyle that few have, then they have to perform in a way that most won't. That is, they must perform in a way that most won't. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get them ready for the hard times. The hard times That is, the times when they get discouraged when people quit, or when they don't reach a goal when they expected to reach it. I'm going to get them ready for that. That way they don't quit me. And my promise to them is, I won't quit you if you don't quit me. Do we agree on that? So I'm going to be there to support you. And I'll reason with them that, again, you agreed that life you have, your job is not easy. That's very hard. You agreed that's very hard. The difference between this being hard and that being hard is this doesn't stay hard. This gets easier. This gets easier. In my third month, I was making over $5,000, and that was my goal in For Life Research. All I could think about was $5,000. In my third month, it was there. Jim Carrey wrote his check out. I had mine visually written out on my brain. It was like it was stamped on it. This gets easier, but that doesn't. And that's what I'll tell people. Think about it. If you get sick, you get cancer, or if you're in an accident and you can't work anymore, is your company going to keep sending you a check? How are you going to pay your bills? How are you going to take care of your family? Is that easy? Over here, this gets easier because we get paid for what we start, not what we do. That's right. What I'm doing today is not what I did 16 years ago. What I did in my first year was not what I did in my first 3 months. It gets easier. It's worth it. It's hard in the beginning, but it's worth it because it gets easier and easier. And our incomes grow. So that's the difference. What I explain to a new person is what you're doing is hard, and it never changes. With ours, it does. The thing that we have to do is when we get going in our business and we want to develop momentum, another reason why people fail is they're worried about how people view them. Like they want to apologize that this isn't, that they're involved in network marketing. Don't apologize. Hold your head high. People ask you what you do, say, I'm a professional network marketer. Most of them, when you say that, they're not going to know what you're talking about. I'm going to say, well, actually, you do the same thing. The difference between me and you is I get paid for it, you don't. You network. You network ideas, new movies, books, whatever you're excited about. You're bringing business to a lot of different companies that aren't paying you anything, but I get paid for it. It piques their curiosity. I remember one time and think just the fear factor that some people have about how people view them. I heard somebody say, at 20 years old, we wonder what everybody thinks about us. At 40 years old, we don't care what anybody thinks about us. But you know what? At 60, we realized nobody was thinking about us. I read that. I thought it was funny. I thought it was worth mentioning tonight. But the thing that we have to do is, in this business, is we got to put our blinders on, and that's all. I didn't worry about what people thought. Even my own brother, I can remember when I rolled out my printout of all my downline right in front of him, and he said to me, "Don't you show me that. You're not going to get me in that. I don't want to see that." And I just laughed at him. I said, "No, brother, you got it all wrong. I'm practicing on you. Then I'm going to go get me some good people." And people ask me the question, should I get my family involved? Sure, you should. Practice on them. Then go get some good people. Don't worry about what people think about you. You're a professional network marketer. Say it with pride, just like as if you graduated from Harvard. Be proud about it. You are in a profession that will bring you so much wealth and so much independence. And you're going to help a lot of people who want the very same thing too. The people that are willing to, suck it up and go through the hard times. And I went through it. You will go through it. The important thing is we need to realize that the only people that are going to help us get there are going to be our drivers, the people that are totally committed. And you need to identify them over a period of time. Some of the people you start with are not the people you finish with. Think about that. Some of the people I started with are not the people with me today. I can remember after I made International Diamond in my third month, and that was the top position of our compensation plan in For Life Research. I can remember one of my the biggest leader, quit and went after the money games. That was very disappointing to me. Very disappointing. Here, after I was celebrating my successes, being an International Diamond, my best leader quit and went after the money games. I worked with the people that were left behind. One of those, her name is Terry Schuler. She lives in Columbia, South Carolina. She's a gold International Diamond. That's who I worked with. That's who was left behind. We have a lot of diamonds in the rough. But what we have to do is identify those leaders. And instead of spending time trying to convince people that they need this, instead of spending time trying to remind people they need to make phone calls and all that, don't do that. Leave those people alone and go after new leaders. I sponsored 72 people in my first 2 years of For Life. I didn't need to sponsor after that. But 72, that's three people a month, basically, three individuals a month. Now, we didn't have Power Pool back then, but I knew that I had to go through the numbers before I was going to be able to find my leaders. And then once I knew who they were, then I was going to focus on them, develop them, help them to be successful. And that's what you have to do. Just don't spend your time on people who are not going to grow your business. That is not going to help you. But work with those people who are going to they're going to deliver. The other thing is, expect good things of yourself. Some people come in this business, and this is another problem, it's another landmine, and that is they bring emotional baggage with them. Oh man, I'm gonna give it a go, in For Life, I'm gonna give it a go. But I did this actually 2 or 3 times, and every time I did this, it never worked out for me. My wife was angry with me when I joined this one, and I said, well, this is the last one. If this one doesn't work out, well, I'm never gonna do it again. What kind of attitude is that? How are we gonna be successful thinking like that? If we come in this business with Murphy's Law, anything that can go wrong will, that's negative thinking. We need to come in this business with, if anything can go right, this is. And that's how we need to think. But if we come in this business with that emotional baggage and think, wow, because all those others failed, most likely this one is too, it will. I promise you it will. We can't come in this business thinking negative. I tell people, I say, clear out your emotional baggage. Clear out your failures. You're in a Class A company here. This is the Cadillac of network marketing, For Life Research. This is not those companies of the past. I'm going to tell you, my friends, I was in several companies before For Life and failed. I can remember when I used to think, I don't know if I'm cut out for this. Maybe my personality just doesn't fit into this kind of a business. I can remember thinking that. But when I went through the process of those failures, every time I look back, I learned a lesson from it all. And instead of blaming myself, I saw it just as it was. I did blame myself. I made the choice. So I made a bad choice in many cases, and I learned from it. I didn't investigate the company. The product wasn't strong. It was a Me Too product or a commodity product, a product that you could find at Walmart and health food stores, whatever. Or it was a high-tech product that I was marketing, and I learned high-tech, no check. High-tech, no check. Because techie things are basically commodity things. So I learned a lot of lessons, or the compensation plan. The thing is, we have to come in this business expecting the best. I remember Anthony Robbins one time he finished a performance he did in a city, and one night he was walking, and a beggar came up to him, and he said, "Will you give me a quarter?" And he looked at the man, and he said, "You know, in life we get what we ask for, and life will pay you no more." And he gave the man a quarter, and he walked away, and the man just looked at him stunned. But it's really true. In life we get what we ask for, and life will pay you no more. What do you want life to pay you, my friend? This is the thing that you have to think about. Every day you should wake up and just declare, this is going to be a fantastic day. I'm going to accomplish great things today. Good things are going to come my way. Expect the best. And expect the best out of your leaders too. I mean, commend them. And when they reach certain levels like diamond or, a qualified diamond, Steve, too, was praising many of the Asian leaders at our conference in Asia. He was saying, that the Asian countries have the highest amount of diamonds in For Life research. I mean, thousands and thousands of diamonds. And but when you have people achieve that, then celebrate their success. Call them up. Commend them. I don't care how far down in their group they are. I can remember when I was first getting going, and I would see people that would reach a certain level, and then I would go down through my report. I would make phone calls and commend them and let them know who I was. I was their upline. I was there to support them. But always, what we need to do is look for the best in our leaders. And then we need to always maintain a positive attitude. We have to be highly motivated if we want to reach our dreams. Think about it. In all the professions I mentioned earlier on this call, what do you think? Do you think they came in this with a very, negative attitude or a not a very inspiring attitude? Well, they had to be inspired. We have to feed an attitude. An attitude just doesn't come easy. An attitude has to be developed. An attitude has to be fed. An attitude, just like a fire. I've got fireplaces here at my house. And in the winter, in the cold months, I like to enjoy a good fire. I like to hear it pop. I just like the feel of a good fire. But you know what? The interesting thing about fires, if you don't feed them, what happens? They die. That's true for your motivation. You have to be highly motivated if you want to be successful. To do that, you must feed it. So what do we have to do? We have to make sure we are exposing ourselves to the right influences. I thought it was interesting that, Americans, for example, spend 300 hours a year just in their car. Think about it, 300 hours a year in their car, traveling to work or taking their kids to school, who knows. You could turn that car into a university. So expose yourselves to the right mentors. Make sure you're reading the right books. When you go through even difficulties, try to find the best out of it. Promise you can. You can. I'll give you an example. I remember the story about a young boy. And I laughed when I read this. Maybe you will too. But he had a baseball bat and a ball, and he just dreamed of being just a great baseball player. And so he said, "I'm the best hitter in the world." And he threw the ball up, and he swung, and he missed. And he said, "Strike one." Then he said the same thing again. "I'm the best hitter in the world." And he tossed the ball up again in the air, swung, and he missed. Strike two. Then he finally took a deep breath, threw the ball up, After saying he was the best hitter in the world again, he threw the ball up. Yeah, he missed. Strike 3. The boy laid the bat down. The ball was on the ground. And you know what? He smiled. And this is what he said. What do you know? I'm the best pitcher in the world. I'm the best pitcher in the world. We have to find the silver lining in any problem. I can remember in the Philippines, the first international diamond that we had there, the guy had a real attitude problem. He lost sense of how we do this business. He did some really stupid things, and then he finally resigned from For Life, thinking that his whole team would follow him. Do you know what? None of that happened at all. He was surprised. His team stayed, and in fact, and I was surprised, it grew. I mean, grew by big numbers every month. As soon as that negative person was out of the way, everything started getting better. I found a silver lining in that problem. That's what we have to do. When we experience difficulties or disappointments, what we have to do is not draw the wrong conclusions. We can find a silver lining. And just as that first international diamond quit on me, or that individual I was mentioning when I first made international diamond, when he went after the money games, I looked down into a group. I felt very bad, and I said, wow, what will I do? And then I found a Terry Schuler, a gold international diamond, and I worked with her. That's what we have to do. We have to develop the right perspective in our businesses. Well, that pretty much is what I was going to share tonight with you, and I hope you can do that. Remember those 4 things, and that is, just to recap it a little bit, keep that dream in front of you. Remember Jim Carrey and that check he wrote, what he's earning today? Keep that, find things, visual things that will keep that dream alive in front of you. And then have the right expectations when you come in this business, when you're running toward that dream. Again, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be worth it. And when we look at the working world, that's not worth it. We're never going to accomplish our dreams in the working world. Or I say in the job market. Maybe that's a better way to say it. And then, too, then what we have to do is we have to have the right, work with the right people. Look for those people that are really going to be our drivers, not trying to convince people that this is it. And then learn how to deal with disappointments. You know, expect good things from for yourself. Expect good things from your leaders. When you go through difficulties, find the silver lining in it all. It won't be easy. It'll be worth it. Keep your motivation alive, because that's the very thing that's going to get you closer to that dream day by day, and every day is going to be that way. When you wake up, you're going to be that much closer to what you want. So glad that everybody was able to make this call tonight. I want to thank all of you for being on the call. Keep the convention in mind in April. I'll be bringing this up call after call to remind everyone, be at that convention. Our great Chief Scientific Officer, Dr. Chris Lockwood, is going to launch some of the most significant products that I think For Life has ever launched in 10 years at our convention. Patented products that's exclusive to For Life Research. Patented means your business is protected, and the only way people are going to be able to get these products